Chapter 4 of David I. Smith's book, Learning from the Stranger, is entitled On Loving Foreigners. For me, this chapter was very thought-provoking, as it goes to the heart of pride, arrogance, and entitlement. The chapter centers around the account covered in Luke 10:25 through 37, where Jesus is questioned by a scholarly scribe who wants to know what he has to do to inherit eternal life. Knowing that the scribe is an expert in the Mosaic law, Jesus asks for his interpretation, to which the scribe answers somewhat automatically, to love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all of your soul, and with all of your strength, and with all of your mind, and to love your neighbor as yourself. Jesus let him know that the scribe responded correctly. But in an effort to trap Jesus, the student of the law asks Jesus, "Who is my neighbor?" In reply, Jesus tells the scribe a story about a man going from Jerusalem to Jericho who gets attacked and is left for dead on the side of the road. At separate times, a priest and Levite come upon the man and choose to pass him on the opposite side of the road without helping him. A third man, who happens to be a Samaritan, then comes upon the man, pities him, dresses his wounds, places him on his donkey, and takes him to an inn where he cares for him, pays the innkeeper to watch over him, and then promises to return to settle up any unpaid debt. Jesus asked the scribe who acted as a neighbor to the man, to which the scribe reluctantly answers, the one who had mercy upon him, on the victim. I say reluctantly, as the author accurately points out that throughout the Bible, the Samaritans are looked down upon by the Jews. From an Israelite perspective, Samaritans did not keep God's covenant and had been at odds with the Jewish people for more than 700 years. They were considered outsiders, sinners, and people with whom the Jewish people should not engage. This story reminded me very much of the encounter between Abraham and Abimelech, where Abraham looked down upon Abimelech and his people, and God used Abimelech and the situation with Sarah to show Abraham that he was not being obedient to God. In the same way, Jesus uses the story of the mercy shown by the Samaritan to teach the scribe how to truly be obedient to God's call. I was in Israel 5 years ago, and I walked on the road to Jericho. That is a picture of it right there. One of the amazing things about Israel is that so many of the places in the Bible still exist to some extent. I was truly amazed how they have been able to preserve so many important landmarks. What struck me most interestingly about the road to Jericho is its size. When you hear the term road, your mind thinks of the width of streets we have in the United States. In fact, the width of the road to Jericho is no more than the width of 2 sidewalks. So when you think about the priest and the Levite crossing to the other side of the road to get by the man, they are still in very close proximity to him, which allows them to see the victim is in great distress and still very much alive. In current times, we as followers of Christ are faced with the same question that Jesus posed to the scribe. Who are our neighbors? I believe Jesus would say they are the undocumented worker, the illegal immigrant, the Muslim, the dope dealer, the homeless, etc. Anyone who does not fit into that tight little Sunday going to worship person who looks like us, who acts like us, and who thinks they are serving God better than those suffering people. Most of us are as guilty as the scribe of thanking God for not making us like the tax collector, instead of praying, "God, please forgive me, a sinner." A 2013 study by Wickersham found that when Alabama passed the nation's most stringent laws against illegal immigration, which had an immediate impact on these displaced individuals, many churches responded with lawsuits against the government and outreach programs to these undocumented workers. The study surveyed 200 clergy persons in Alabama across numerous denominations. When asked which character in the parable the clergy most associated themselves, 69% said the Good Samaritan, while only 11% said the victim. Unfortunately, 90% said the new Alabama law would limit their church's ability to serve the immigrants through outreach programs. That seems very sad, and not at all what Christ talked about. A comment that David I. Smith made convicted me in the fact that we often ask, who is our neighbor, so that we can create a list of exclusivity, instead of viewing all humans as Christ intends and making our list inclusive of all people, no matter their religion, ethnicity, culture, or political designation. It shows that every day we have opportunities to be a good Samaritan to a hurting individual. My only disagreement with the author's writing is that the context is so focused on individuals who are different than we are. I feel this is also an exclusive way to look at Jesus' teaching. The reality is that all humans are the victims who need God and God's mercy. The answer offered by the author is that we are to abide by the golden rule, to love our neighbors as ourselves. Love is the key, and we are responsible for ensuring that we treat others with respect, value, and understanding. By doing this, we show humility in the face of God and the obedience and righteousness God expects of all of us as followers of Christ. Thank you.